All right, everybody, welcome back for another deep dive with me. And
hi, everyone.
Today we're going to be looking at how countries are gearing up for, potential conflicts.
Mm-hmm.
And specifically looking at this through the lens of NATO and Sweden.
Yep.
And the really interesting thing about this deep dive is that we're actually jumping off from an English learning podcast.
Oh, wow.
That's right, an English learning podcast episode about NATO's latest military exercises. So, learn a language and get a crash course in geopolitics.
Very efficient.
Talk about multitasking, right?
It's really fascinating to me how even something as, simple and lighthearted as like an English language lesson can actually offer these little windows into, I guess, global anxieties.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, so this podcast episode, it focuses on something called Operation Steadfast Defender.
Yeah.
And I understand this is like NATO's largest military exercise to date.
Yeah, it's huge. They're happening all across Europe.
Spanning across Europe. And what's particularly interesting to me is that Sweden, even though they are not a NATO member yet, they are actively participating.
Yeah.
Which makes you wonder why, right?
Well, yeah. I mean, I think it really highlights just the current kind of climate that we're in, geopolitically. I mean, we're seeing, I guess you could say, resurgence of tensions, particularly with Russia's kind of recent actions in Ukraine. Mm-hmm. Going back to the annexation of Crimea in 2014.
Right. And
the ongoing conflict in the Donbass region.
Yeah.
So you can understand why this has kind of rattled nerves across Europe and, readiness is a top priority.
For sure. I mean, Sweden jumping into these exercises, even without, the full NATO membership card, so to speak.
Right.
I mean, that speaks volumes, doesn't it?
Yeah, it really does. It's not just about, military drills. It's a statement about commitment to regional security.
100%. And you know what else caught my attention about all this? Swedish schools are incorporating war preparedness into their curriculum.
Wow.
Yeah. I read about this teacher, O.A. Lind, who uses, current events discussions to teach kids about emergency plans.
Yeah.
Wild, right?
It's a bold move, for sure. I mean, it's a bit controversial, but Sweden really sees this approach as a way to empower citizens, especially young people, by equipping them with knowledge and practical skills.
Okay.
So the idea is that you address these potential threats head on, and it kind of reduces fear and anxiety.
Hold on, though. Isn't teaching kids about war more likely to, scare them?
Right.
I mean, I get wanting to be prepared, but that seems intense.
I think that's a valid concern, and it's definitely a debate that's happening within Sweden as well.
Sure.
But the government over there argues that a well-informed populace is less susceptible to misinformation and panic, particularly in the age of social media.
Oh, yeah.
So they believe open discussion and preparedness measures, combined with these practical skills, like knowing what to do in an emergency, actually provides a sense of control and agency.
So they're trying to combat, preemptively combat the potential chaos of misinformation.
Exactly.
By making sure everyone has the facts and knows what to do.
Yep.
Interesting strategy, but does it work?
That's the million-dollar question.
Right.
It really raises the question of, okay, where is the line between responsible preparedness and potentially causing unnecessary anxiety?
Yeah.
I mean, think about it. Knowing that Sweden is taking these steps, does that make you feel more secure?
Yeah.
Or does it actually heighten your sense of unease?
It's a great question for our listeners to ponder.
Yeah, definitely.
This whole situation with Sweden really makes you think about that balance, between staying informed and getting caught up in the, worst case scenarios.
Absolutely. There's no easy answer here.
Yeah.
But what Sweden is doing is forcing us to grapple with some uncomfortable questions.
Like?
How do we prepare for a world with increasing uncertainty and potential conflict?
Yeah.
Without succumbing to fear and paranoia.
Right.
Is there a right way to navigate these kind of choppy waters?
It's deep stuff.
It is.
That's what makes this deep dive so fascinating.
For sure.
Thank you for joining us on this journey.
Absolutely.
Keep exploring, keep questioning.
Keep learning.
And keep those critical thinking skills sharp.
Couldn't agree more.
That's it for this one. We'll see you on the next one.
See ya.